wanted to talk about Chicago today. It is in the thick of its deadliest year in 2 decades. We are only 9 months into 2016 and already 512 people have been killed in homicides there. That is according to the Chicago Tribune, which keeps track of these deaths that have been ruled a homicide or determined to be a murder. It's also another grim reminder of the violence that is plaguing America's third largest city. And I want to show you a photo. This young man, this is the face of one of the victims here. 16-year-old Elijah Sims died just last week, one day before his 17th birthday. He had been shot in his head, and his mother is numb with grief.
I don't want anyone to feel this feeling that I'm feeling, because it's not a good feeling. And it's hard for me. Every day I can't sleep, I can't eat, I can't do nothing but think about my baby.
Joining me now, Reverend Marshall Hatch Sr. He is the senior pastor of the New Mount Pilgrim Missionary Baptist Church there in Chicago. He was just with Elijah's mom officiating his funeral. Reverend, welcome.
Thank you, Brooke. We appreciate it so much.
Let me just begin with, first of all, I don't know how you do it, but I have to begin asking about Sharita, the mother. How's she holding on?
Well, it's devastating, and as any parent can imagine, there are no words to express. One of the participants in the funeral, family member, I think was quite articulate and moving when she said, when we lose a spouse, we're either a widow or widower. When we lose parents, we're an orphan, but there's simply no word that we have when a parent loses a child. It's devastating.
I understand that they actually had to hold this service in, is it your facility? I mean, there were so many people who wanted to come.
Yes, our facility here.
Yes,
It's one
tell
of
me
the
about
largest
that.
on the west side, and so we needed a big space, and we were glad to help.
How many times do you have to do this?
More than I'd care to mention. This is, when you have the minors that are killed in the prime of life, it is particularly devastating to watch the promise of a community being just literally wiped away. And then, of course, I've had the unfortunate task of also when we had the double police shooting here, Betty Jones and Quintonio LeGrier back in the winter. I had to do both those services in 1 week, and to tell you the truth, it's a tremendous burden.
You know, I was reading what the police commissioner there in Cook County had been saying, that it's an issue on these parts of the streets, jobs, lack of educational opportunities. I mean, I wish we could just put our finger on one thing, but because you see this as much as you do, what needs to change, Reverend?
Well, Elijah Sims is a tremendous case in point, the tragedy. He was 4 blocks into the city from Oak Park, which is a thriving community. In fact, there's a condo building boom going on in Oak Park. And then just over into the city, of course, is a community that has the highest number of homicides. So we have an adjacent suburb that's booming, and then the inner city where we have these compounded tragedies. And the truth is, if he had been 4 blocks to the west, he would be alive. But 4 blocks east into the city, and his life is over tragically. I think it makes the point that resources matter, and they matter so much that even in adjacent communities, we live in 2 different realities. We have a tale of 2 cities literally blocks away because one community is well-resourced and the other one is under-resourced. And so I think we all know that resources matter. I mean, we've made the case. The only people that say that resources don't matter are people who have the resources that allow for thriving communities.
I understand. 4 blocks. Please pass our condolences to this family, and I am just also sorry for you that you are tasked with something so tremendous far too often. Reverend Hatch in Chicago, thank you, sir. We'll be right
Thank you.
back.
Remember us in your prayers.
Yes, sir.